Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CFO Insider. My name is Amy Brownell, and every single Tuesday I go live here on YouTube at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, to talk all things CFO and advisory related. So if you have a question, if you have a comment, would love to hear about it. Go ahead and drop that into the discussion, the chat tab below, and I will get those answered for you. Today we are going to talk about one of the biggest points of confusion in finance, which is what the differences are between revenue, cash, and profit. A lot of people use those interchangeably, and they are not the same thing. So today we are going to talk about it. Now, like I said, I would really like it if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because you want to be notified every time I drop a new video or new content. That way you're informed. And like I said, drop any questions or comments or anything you want to say into the discussion tab below, and I will get those answered for you. So let's dive in. So did you know that you can have really strong revenue but be completely out of money? Or you can be profitable but still lose. You can be profitable but still run out of cash. I know, it's a crazy thing. And the difference is knowing the difference is between, let's start that again. Knowing the difference is knowing when a business is healthy and when a business is not healthy. So let's talk about revenue first. Revenue is the top line on the profit and loss statement, the P&L, and that is the sales that come into the business. So think of yourself at a cash register, or if you're online shopping at your computer, when you put your credit card in and you are buying, let's say, a shirt, and that shirt, the sticker price of it is $100, and you're going to buy one shirt. Well, you would be charged $100 for that shirt. Let's keep taxes out of it for a hot minute. And that is the revenue. Your business would record $100 in revenue. And what that means is tracking revenue is all about knowing how good you are at selling. It has nothing to do with if your business is making money. It just tells you as a barometer, are we good at selling the thing that we're selling, goods or services? So it's more about, you can sell a lot, but you may not necessarily be making money. So let's talk about profit next, because that's all about how much money you're making. Profit is what is left over from revenue after you pay all of your bills. So if you are producing a good, so let's say a t-shirt, for example, it costs you money to make that t-shirt. And so you have to deduct the cost of making that t-shirt. There's also other costs that you have to deduct. Perhaps you're in a retail store, you have to deduct the rent. You have to deduct the sales employees, things like that. So you have your top line revenue, then you have a bunch of expenses, and then what's left over is profit. And that tells you how much you're actually earning doing the business that you're doing. So it tells you how efficiently you are at making money. So like I said, you can have $500,000 in revenue and $25,000 of profit. And that would mean that you have $475,000 of expenses. But think about what that means. You sold a lot, $500,000, but you're only taking home, you're only realizing you're only left with $25,000. That's not much return given how much money you made at the top in revenue. So another good example is, think of it like a bakery. Let's say the bakery sells $10,000 worth of cakes in a month, but all of the ingredients that it costs to make a cake, flour, sugar, butter, eggs, things like that, they cost $9,500. So at the end of the day, you've made $500 in profit, taking your $10,000 of revenue minus your $9,500 in expenses. That leaves you with $500 in profit. So not much money left over after you pay all of your bills. Now let's talk about cash. Cash is, I say it all the time, cash is king. Cash is what it's all about. Cash is what's actually in your bank account. Cash is what you use to pay your bills. You can't pay bills with revenue or profit. You have to pay your bills with cash. Boy, if you could pay your bills with something else, that'd be something, huh? But just because you have revenue and you have profit doesn't necessarily mean that you have money. It could, but not necessarily. Because maybe that customer hasn't paid you yet, or maybe you bought something else that used up that cash. Maybe you bought a piece of equipment, or you had to buy more shirts. So you're not able to have that cash in your bank account because you've already used it. So think of a good example of this is like, think about your personal finances. Revenue is like your paycheck. What comes in every week, every 2 weeks, every month, however often you get paid. That's the amount of your paycheck. That's what revenue is. Profit is what's left over for fun money after you pay your bills. So after you pay your mortgage and your utilities and pay for food and all of that stuff, how much of your paycheck is left? That's profit. That's what's called profit. Cash is what's actually in your bank account at this moment in time. So if you go to your bank statement, it has your ending balance. That's how much is in your bank account at that given time. So it could show that you have a large amount of cash coming, a large amount of cash in your account. But if you know that you have a credit card bill coming out, for example, then you know that you can't spend all of that cash. Cash has already been spoken for. So the differences between is very big, very important. And what I usually tell the people that I work with is that cash is what's really going on in the business, and profit is more like conceptual theory. You can survive in a business for a while having no profit, but you cease to exist if you don't have cash. Cash is the most important of those three. And honestly, it's funny because when you're going up through the ranks in the corporate world, a lot of times you focus on the P&L only, and the cash account sits on the balance sheet. And so it's funny that often you are very focused on the P&L, while the biggest thing that impacts the health of your business is cash, and you're not even looking at it. Now, obviously that changes as you go through your career and you go to different jobs, you learn different things. But typically when you first start out, it's all about the P&L, which is crazy because, that's not where cash lives. All righty. Well, that is the difference between profit, revenue, and cash. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I go live here every single Tuesday at 1:00 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and we talk about all things CFO related. If you want to learn more about CFO services, what they are, why you get those high ticket fees that you've heard about, if you want to learn a little bit about a tool that will help you deliver those services efficiently, And if you want to learn how to find and land those high ticket clients, you should join my upcoming challenge. It actually starts tomorrow. And to register for that, you would go to gamechangerchallenge.com/register. Easy peasy. That site again is gamechangerchallenge.com/register. All right. Well, I will see you back here next Tuesday. You guys have a fabulous week. Bye.